Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into that absolutely massive June 2026 Adobe update. And look, this isn't just some standard feature drop we're talking about here. This is an update that is quite literally rewriting the very definition of digital creativity by introducing agentic AI. We're talking about machines that are no longer just rendering pixels based on what we command them to do. No, they are actually structuring layers, making real aesthetic choices, and autonomously directing huge multi-tiered projects. So you might want to grab a notebook for this one, because we are stripping away all the marketing fluff to show you exactly how this is going to change the way we all work forever. Which brings us to a really existential question that we just have to ask. Is the simple text prompt dead? I mean, for the last few years, we've all gotten pretty used to typing a few sentences into a box and just waiting for an image to pop out, right? But this update, it completely changes the game. Adobe has officially moved way past basic text-to-image generation. AI is basically transforming from a passive pixel generator into an autonomous director. We are staring down the barrel of full-scale, automated project lifecycle management. And let me tell you, it's going to completely alter how we approach our daily work. So, here is exactly how we're going to unpack this colossal paradigm shift today. First up, we'll look at the death of the prompt. Second, we're going inside the agentic architecture. Third, we'll break down the platform more. Fourth, we'll talk about the evolution of the designer. And finally, we'll tackle ethics and digital provenance. Let's get right into it. All right, part one, the death of the prompt, or as I like to think of it, the end of the assembly line. Just look at the timeline here. The sheer speed of this technological leap is, frankly, staggering. Think about it. Back in 2016, Adobe Sensei gave us, basic automation, like selecting a subject. Then cut to 2023, Firefly 1.0 dropped and gave us that raw text-to-image generation. A year later, 2024, generative fill brought all that magic right inside the Photoshop canvas itself. But now, here we are in 2026, dealing with agentic AI. Before this, an art director would feed a descriptive prompt to an AI, get a flat image back, and then spend hours manually masking, color correcting, and adding typography. Well, that era is officially over. The system is no longer just a digital printing press, it is a full-on digital worker. Let's do a quick jargon buster here. What exactly is agentic artificial intelligence? Well, unlike standard generative AI, which basically just spits out a single fixed response, agents actually possess step-by-step reasoning. They independently use tools, they self-correct if they mess up a step, and they manage complex, multi-stage projects without you having to sit there holding their hand the whole time. So instead of describing a specific image, you're now inputting what's called a macro objective. For example, you could say to the AI, hey, design a summer promo campaign for a new sports shoe, use neon colors, and prep the final outputs for both vertical Instagram stories and horizontal highway billboards. The agent takes that, chops it up into dozens of microtasks, and just gets to work. Okay, moving to section 2, inside the agentic architecture, specifically focusing on cross-app orchestration. Now this right here is the real secret sauce behind Adobe's edge, cross-app orchestration. See, they didn't just build some isolated AI tool in a web browser. No, they hardwired a centralized brain directly into their flagship apps. Taking that shoe campaign example from a minute ago, the AI automatically imports the raw photos into Photoshop, strips out the background with perfectly precise mathematical alpha masks, and builds realistic drop shadows. Then, without missing a beat, it calls over to Illustrator to generate some scalable, non-destructive typography. And to top it off, it jumps into After Effects to render out dynamic motion graphics. It's controlling multiple apps concurrently, executing all these edits without you ever having to touch your mouse or keyboard. Insane, right? So you're probably wondering, how does it actually understand what it's building? That brings us to spatial intelligence. The AI isn't just looking at a bunch of dumb pixels. It actually comprehends the structure of layers, alpha channels, and vector coordinates as true mathematical functions. It literally inherently understands the fundamental laws of composition. Like, it knows exactly why text should never ever obscure a subject's face. It takes those rules and applies them to individual layers with the precision of a veteran art director. Honestly, it is both terrifying and incredibly awe-inspiring when you sit back and watch it do its thing. All right, section 3, the platform war and Adobe's big ecosystem strategy. The best way to think about the current landscape is to picture isolated islands versus unified continents. Over the past few years, open source models and tools like Midjourney were absolutely the kings of raw image generation. They produced amazing artistic concepts, along with the occasional person with 7 fingers, but you know what I mean. But the thing is, they are isolated islands. You generate an image over here, you upscale it over there, you import it into Photoshop, you manually mask it. It's a super fragmented pipeline. Adobe's Agentic AI, on the other hand, is a unified continent. It executes that entire sequence autonomously, right inside a seamless, hardwired native environment. When we actually map out this battlefield matrix, the differences are pretty stark. Open source models and Midjourney V7 are out there competing on raw image generation and node-based experimentation, but they produce flat raster outputs, and a lot of the time they're sitting in this murky legal gray area using unregulated training datasets. Adobe. They've completely shifted the battlefield over to workflow orchestration. They're offering full spatial intelligence with native layer comprehension. And look at that crucial bottom row on the matrix. Adobe provides commercial safety and indemnification. Their real defensive moat isn't just their AI weights, it's that workflow orchestration combined with heavy-duty enterprise security. Which leads us to Section 4, the evolution of the designer, moving from operators to managers. The reality we're facing is a fundamental metamorphosis of the job itself. The traditional role of the pixel pusher, the junior designer whose whole day was meticulously masking out hair or resizing one banner into 15 different social media aspect ratios, a task I'm sure we all deeply, deeply enjoyed. Well, actually, scratch that, we hated it, and that role is effectively dead now. Agentic AI does all of that with 0 errors in seconds. Instead, the modern designer is evolving into what we call the strategic director. When an AI agent can instantly perform the technical labor of 10 junior designers, your value is no longer judged by how fast you can click with the pen tool. It's measured entirely by your creative vision and your ability to manage an army of digital laborers. There's this quote from Silicon Valley that I think perfectly anchors the emotional and professional reality of this whole transition. It goes like this. What Adobe has accomplished is the abolition of software drudgery. We are no longer assembly line workers spending our lives executing repetitive clicks on keyframes. A graphic designer in 2027 is someone who stands on the podium of a conductor, directing a symphony of autonomous agents. You're orchestrating the final output now, not manually rendering it pixel by pixel. So, what does this all mean for us in the real world? Well, the pros are massive. We're talking complete creative liberation from tedious labor, the ability to scale your studio's output 10 times over without hiring a single new person, and the democratization of really complex tech like 3D rendering. But the cons create a bit of an industrial earthquake. It ruthlessly eliminates entry-level roles, demands a super steep learning curve for veteran designers, and introduces a very real risk of drowning in a sea of sameness if you just lazily rely on the AI's default logic. And why this absolutely matters to you right now, today, is pricing. If you're a freelancer or run an agency, the days of billing by the hour are going extinct fast. When a 3-week campaign can be finalized in 4 hours, you have to rapidly transition to value-based pricing. You need to anchor your contracts on your strategic output and your ideas, rather than just the time it took you to click the buttons. Okay, final section, Section 5, ethics and digital provenance and setting those legal boundaries. Think about this. When an AI is out there selecting assets and generating vector paths without direct human input, who actually owns the copyright? Well, Adobe's massive strategic defense mechanism here is its highly curated training data. Unlike competitors who just indiscriminately scraped the entire open web, Adobe trained its models exclusively on Adobe's stock, public domain, and openly licensed work. And crucially, they offer full intellectual property indemnification, meaning if a Fortune 500 company faces a copyright claim over an AI-generated asset, Adobe steps in and covers the legal cost. That financial and legal shield is exactly why massive global marketing pipelines are adopting this system over the unregulated open-source models out there. But the ethical boundaries definitely go beyond just copyright. We also have to worry about the very real threat of automated misinformation. To combat this, Adobe is relying heavily on C2PA, content authenticity. I like to think of these as cryptographic nutrition labels. Basically, every single asset orchestrated by the Agentic AI embeds a secure, hidden metadata tag that details its exact editing history. It provides radical transparency. Viewers can instantly verify if an image was human-made, just AI-assisted, or fully generated. And because it relies on tamper-evident infrastructure, malicious actors can't just easily strip those tags away to try and fool people. So look, the graphic design profession isn't dying, it's just evolving. We've gone from simple text prompts to full autonomous cross-app orchestration in the blink of an eye. In this new era, your adaptability is absolutely your ultimate survival skill. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to step up onto that conductor's podium and become a strategic AI manager? Or will you be left trying to push pixels in a world that's already moved on? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Catch you next time.